Hello， 各位网友，大家好，欢迎收看天维大咖秀，我是主持人糖糖。那今天的天维大咖秀呢，将在直播、YouTube、Facebook 3平台并机直播。首先呢，我们接通的是 YouTube 的直播信号。那各位 YouTube 的网友，大家好。Hello everyone, you are watching Sky TV Talk Show. It's an entrepreneur and leadership interview program which cover over like a million local and overseas Chinese people. 各位网友，大家好，欢迎收看天维大咖秀，我是主持人糖糖。那今天的天维大咖秀呢，将 Sorry, hello everyone. Yeah, you are watching Sky TV Talk Show. This talk show is cover over a million local and overseas Chinese people who both in New Zealand and China. It's a very influential program and received many positive reviews from high-end audience. 好，陈律师 ，Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Thank you.
那我们正式开始吧。好的，各位网友，大家好，欢迎收看天维大咖秀，我是主持人糖糖。那首先呢，给大家介绍一下，您在收看的这一档直播节目《天维大咖秀》，是我们新西兰天维网全新推出的一档直播视频节目。那这个节目呢，是通过专家大咖和我们主播呢跨屏连线的这个方式，为大家呢用专业的视角科普一些常识，以及畅谈现在社会呢大家比较关心的一些热门话题。在过去的几期直播里啊，我们累积的观看数呢已经突破了450万。非常感谢大家的关注，也希望大家一如既往的支持我们。那今天这一期的大咖秀呢，我们有幸邀请到新西兰绝对的重量级的人物，包括有新西兰前总理 John Key、国家党 Botany 选区的候选人 Key+前，以及非常特别的一位我们今天的特邀主持人陈平律师。那陈律师呢，与今天请来的这2位大咖呢，都是好朋友。他们3位大咖聚在一起，让我们一起看看他们会碰撞出一个怎么样的火花。那陈律师呢，又为这2位老朋友准备了什么样的尖锐的问题，去刁难一下他们。那在我们今天的节目开始之前呢，请允许我呢为大家呢介绍一下今天的几位大咖。那新西兰的总理 John Key， 前总理 John Key 呢，不用我多做介绍了，是我们华人朋友呢非常熟悉和喜爱的一位大咖了。那我给大家详细的介绍一下Key+前这一位重磅的嘉宾。他呢，在2013年到19年期间呢，是担任新西兰航空公司的首席执行官。在加入新西兰航空公司之前呢，他曾经在联合利华担任过18年的高级领导职务。那曾被聘为呢现任总理商业咨询委员会的首任主席。那他的领导才能呢，获得了广泛的认可，包括呢，获得了布莱克领袖奖、德勤年度 CEO 奖、东方航空年度最佳人物奖，还有德勤年度最佳公司奖等等。那他在这个成功的商业生涯之后呢 ，Chris 开始从政了，并且呢被选为 Botany 选区的国家党候选人，并且呢将参加呢9月份即将举行的大选。那最后呢，是我们很多华人朋友都很熟悉的陈平律师了。他是新西兰高等法院的律师，也是陈平律师行的创始人。他呢是维多利亚大学法学硕士，西北政法大学法学士。他用自己呢在中国检察机关办案的经历，结合新西兰多年的法律经验呢，创办了既了解中国文化又擅长西方法律，既能为客户提供行业专家意见，又可以提供一站式法律服务的综合性律师行。同时，他也是一位专业的法律节目的主持人，所以呢，今天非常有幸了，把他请到我们节目里面来，客串一回特邀的主持人。那今天这3位大咖呢，会聊一下在疫情退去之后，哪一些应对经济衰退的措施，能够及时、合法、有效的帮助新西兰更快的走出困境。那我再一次提醒一下各位网友了，今天的大咖秀呢会在直播、YouTube、Facebook 3平台同时直播，欢迎各位网友呢去 YouTube、Facebook 关注我们新西兰天维网 skytv.com， 也欢迎大家呢在这3个平台上面呢积极的留言互动，多抛一些难题出来，考考我们今天来的这3位大咖。好了，陈律师，下面呢我把话筒交给你，接下来直播看你了。
感谢糖糖，大家好，我是您的老朋友陈平律师。我的主业呢是打理陈平律师行，副业呢在这个 lockdown 之后呢就变成了家庭主妇，这个主呢是煮饭的主。感谢天维网今天又给了我一个光荣的新职位，网络主播。今天的首次上场，所以还请大家多多关照。常言道呢，国家兴亡，匹夫有责。18年前呢，我和大家一样，不远万里的来到这个美丽的小岛，安家落户，一直勤勤恳恳加班加点努力工作。 一场席卷全球的瘟疫对新西兰造成了史无前例的冲击。中国有一句话说，历史的尘埃压在每个人身上都是一座大山，尤其是海外的华人，海那头有我们挚爱的亲人，在这边安了家，却也改变不了咱们是后来移民的身份。有人说，抗击疫情，中国打上半场，国外打下半场，而海外华人的咱们打的是全场，我们实在是太难了。说实话，我和大家一样迷茫过，抱怨过，还为自己今后的生计忧愁过。这就是为什么今天特别邀请2位重量级的人物来到咱们天维大咖秀，与线上的您，咱们一起开个家庭会议。尽管我们是后来的家庭人员，让我们一起合计合计，这往后的日子究竟咋过。上半场呢，请到的是隔着我2条街的邻居，前纽航 CEO， 做过现任总理的商业顾问 Chris。下半场呢，我们更加精彩，请到的是新西兰前总理的约翰基爵士。在他担任总理期间呢，历经了2008年的全球金融危机，2012年的坎特伯雷大地震。这2位呢，都是有着丰富的人生阅历和实战经验，在危难的时刻，咱们请他们出来英雄救个急。Hi Chris, welcome to the show. How is life in lockdown for you?
Ni hao Ping, and hello to all your viewers. It's a real pleasure to be joining you today over this forum. It's really great. I'm in my bubble at home with my wife and my 2 children, and we're all getting along pretty well. So we're looking forward to getting out of lockdown and getting back into normal life, but for all of us. But it's been great fun.
Wonderful. This is a very strange and a worrying time for everyone. So today's topic is how to rejuvenate the economy after lockdown. You have extensive business experience as a former CEO of Air New Zealand, and also as a business consultant to the Prime Minister. So I would like you to give us some practical solutions on how to rebuild businesses and regain confidence after lockdown.
Well, Ping, I think there's probably 3 big thoughts of activity. The first is to say action really matters. This is not a time to be complacent and believe that things will go back to normal and that hoping that things will get back to normal. As a business owner and a business leader, you need to be very, very engaged and very, very focused around your business, because this is not a time for inaction. It needs you to be really focused and using this time to build a better business plan for your business. That'd be the first point. The second point I would say is that as a business leader or an employer, you really want to care about 3 things. And they are firstly your employees, your customers, and then very much your cash. And if I just take the employees, I think it's really important at the very beginning of this process that you make a decision very early on that you will treat people with great fairness and with great respect. And I would involve employees in your challenges. So communicate what the problems, what the challenges are, because you'll be surprised by how supportive many of your staff and your employees are, and that they want to help us all or the business through a really tough time. I think what's important is that inevitably you might have to lay some people off, and some businesses I suspect watching have already started that process. And it is really important to follow the employment law of the country, because it does actually treat people fairly ultimately. It can be a bit clumsy and a bit of a heavy process, but actually is the right thing to do by people. And finally, what I'd say about the employee piece is that, remembering that it's the people that will be left in the business, your staff that will still remain with you, that will be watching very closely how you treat those that leave. And in New Zealand, when I was CEO for 7 years, we used to have a saying, which was, we want to treat people as well when they leave us as when they come in and start with us. And I think that's a really important thing. So, care for employees is very important. Care for customers is very important. Henry Ford famously said, it's not employers that pay employees, it's actually customers that pay employees. And so touching base with your customers at this point in time, checking in with them, talking with them, building that relationship, keeping that connectivity in place is very important, and they'll be loyal to you on the other side of this. And I think the third bucket, which a lot of people focus on very, very quickly, is about care of cash, because cash is king here. And so very much thinking about understanding the drivers of your revenue in a business. What are the products or the services that you sell that actually have high margin and a high profit? And so how do you actually make sure you get out of the unprofitable pieces of business and put more emphasis on maybe where the future may be in different pieces of business or services that you're offering? Of course, in many businesses here in New Zealand, with the 4-week lockdown we've had, they're really facing with no revenue, so it's very difficult. So maximizing cash and minimizing costs is very important. So, thinking about chasing all the receivables you can, thinking about how you can list payables and maybe restructure those with your creditors, how you sell down or don't do capital investment, how you may sell down obsolete inventory or stock becomes very important. I would definitely be talking to shareholders, to your finance company, to your banks. Definitely be using all the government support you can around wage subsidies, tax breaks, loan schemes, those sorts of things that are out there. There's even money, I think, available for business support, for consultancy services that's available. But what I would say is it's really important that you do that through direct communication. Pick up the telephone and have those conversations with your creditors and with your landlord. Don't just send an email. It's really important to engage with them as much as you can. And just, I think, by being determined to look after your employees, look after your customers, look after your cash, and make some tough decisions, you actually get a chance to come out the other side and to be in much better shape. And I think, Ping, the only other thing I'd say is that as you look forward for your business, it's a big chance to put a new strategy together and to really think about where you want this business to go to and be. There's an immediate issue about employers, customers, and cash, but actually it's a big chance to reframe and reset a business. And as I look forward, I think there's 3 things that are common to all the scenarios. You can look at all the economic scenarios for your country or for your business. In New Zealand here in the second quarter, many people are expecting the economy to contract 22%, and unemployment to be around 11%. And there's a range of scenarios, but it doesn't matter about the scenarios. What's common to all of them is what's really important. And I think there'll be 3 things. One will be the rise of the contactless consumer. This period has accelerated the move to online. So how do you position your business to even do more online? Not as an exception. And I know many Chinese businesses are outstanding in this because you have the most advanced e-commerce platforms in the world. But for a lot of New Zealand businesses, they are not sufficiently up to speed with technology and be able to deal with a customer in a contactless way, because it will take a while before customers are fully confident to be circulating and be physically buying products from stores again and from businesses. The second thing is, I think when you think about a supply chain, whether it's importation or exportation or the things that you need to buy for manufacturing, it's really important you think about that in a resilience way, not just in an efficiency way. Over the years, we've built very efficient supply chains. We've got a source of inputs or products that we then process to make our product or service. And we've done that in the most efficient way we can. Now we need to think about resiliency. How do you actually do that, knowing where your supplier is and whether you can not have your supply chain break down at its weakest point. And the last thing I'd say is that over the last few years, distance has not become a problem. Sitting here in New Zealand on 2 islands pretty close to the South Pacific, or in the South Pacific and close to Antarctica, we've been able to source and get products from all around the world here in New Zealand for our supply chains. And I do think local and having control over your supply chain and knowing where things can be brought and where you have control over it will become quite important. So I think the contactless consumer is really important for businesses to think about in a strategy sense. I think building more resilient rather than just efficient supply chains. And I also think the distance issue will become a big issue to rethink about in your business as well.
Great. So I fully agree with you, especially, I remember, Chris, your good friend, Jack Ma said, money follows people, people should follow their dreams. Yeah. So I would just like to summarize what you say in Chinese. Give me some time, please.
Okay.
那刚才的话呢 ，Chris 呢讲了很多，作为前纽航的 CEO 和总理的这个商业顾问哈，他有着扎扎实实的商业背景，一开口你就知道哈，他给咱们讲的都是干货。那基本上呢，我总结这个几点呢，首先呢，他讲呢就是说我们在危机的时候人很重要，人包括什么人呢？员工很重要，客户更重要。然后之后呢，他讲了什么呢？他说钱也很重要。因为这是现金为王的时代，基本上在人很重要里面呢，他说呢，这个员工，我们对在员工整个纽西兰的这个雇佣法里面呢，它有一个叫做 good faith bargaining， 就是要有良心法则。其实老板们现在呢是一个绝好的机会，选择并留住对你和对企业忠心耿耿、愿意陪你共度难关的员工，这些人未来都有可能成为你事业上最好的合伙人。所以危难之时，你投我以木桃，好日子来了，我必报之以琼瑶。刚才呢 Chris 特别强调呢，这个客户很重要，那维护好跟客户的关系，就是维护好我们和上帝以及我们衣食父母的关系。我们华人的企业呢，基本上都是小而精的。那目前呢，我们可以看到，从前的游戏规则变了。以前大家都认为说在大公司在纽航工作好，那么如今看来不是越大越好，病毒虽小，你灭都灭不掉。刚才呢，我特别的欣赏呢，这个 Chris 讲到的沟通也非常的重要。他提到呢，不要用冷酷的文字取代有情义的电话沟通，甚至呢能够呢用这个眼睛的交流的这种沟通方式。他说呢，如果你要沟通的话，请不要写电子邮件，尤其是呢我们呢英文都是咱们的这个第二语言，有时候呢你写一封电子邮件给你的员工，根本就表达不出你想表达这个意思。总而言之，我回到 Chris 讲的第一句话，他说呢，让我们 stop complaining, make a move and take action， 就是让我们不要再抱怨了，大家行动起来吧。Thank you very much. I'm going to move the second question. I'm proud that New Zealand has been recognized as one of the countries with better responses to coronavirus compared with other Western countries. Do you agree? And how well do you think the government has handled the health response?
Well, Ping, I think as a politician, we could quibble over whether things are done fast enough
Criticize government.
or the right big
Very good.
actions. But to be honest, taking a step back, what I fundamentally think is that the Prime Minister, I think, has actually handled the health crisis here in New Zealand very well. I think she's communicated very clearly. I think she's been very empathetic. And I think by and large, she's got the big decisions right. And most importantly, I think, is that the New Zealand public have been outstanding in the way that they have followed the instructions and the advice of the government. If you think about many of the other countries we're seeing around the world, where you're not seeing that, and to have New Zealanders in lockdown essentially for 4 and potentially another 3 weeks, by the time we work our way out of level 3, it's pretty special what New Zealanders have done. So, you know, to be honest, we can't be complacent, but I do think with good border control and good quarantining practice, I think with good social distancing, I think with more sophisticated tracing, and also certainly a lot more testing and ultimately antibody testing, I think New Zealand's healthcare response has actually been managed very well, and I think, you know, we're in pretty good shape. What I would say is that, you know, a lot of people keep talking about a vaccine, and it's very interesting to me that I think, you know, that vaccine could be 2 years away. I know there's lots of hope. We need to make sure the global community works together on funding and developing that vaccine. But if you think about AIDS, you know, it's very, you know, that we were dealing with in the 1980s, which was a big pandemic as well. You know, we never really got to a vaccine for AIDS. What we did manage to develop is a series of antivirals and treatments that actually have mitigated the impact of AIDS and HIV. So people can now live with it with really good treatment. So I do think treatments are going to matter almost, you know, as much as the vaccine to make this thing less scary and to be able to help people get through it when they get sick.
Okay, so I'm very happy that we left impression with the world that New Zealand is still the best place to live and we are a model country to learn from. But can we do better? For example, some people think we could have imposed much stricter border controls from the very beginning, instead of like closing the door only to China and Iran, as most early cases were from overseas countries. Instead of self-isolation for overseas arrivals, we can do like compulsory supervised isolation for overseas arrivals much earlier. There is a feeling in the community that if we had taken such steps, we could probably have avoided a full lockdown. Do you agree?
Yeah, sure. Look, I mean, we as a National Party were calling for a much more assertive lockdown and screening much earlier. Certainly, we've been talking about compulsory mandated quarantining. But what I would say to you is, look, that's all in the past, and there's not much value focusing on that now. We are where we are, and we're big picture wise, we're in a fairly good shape. So the real opportunity fundamentally is about what comes next. And what I think comes next is very, very different. Managing a health crisis is one thing, but managing an economic recovery is another thing. And it requires different skills and it requires different capabilities and possibly a different team. And so, if you ask me, stepping back and looking at it as a global citizen, I think we're going to be faced with a wave of mini crises over the next 2 years. And I say that because one is we have a healthcare response to manage today, which obviously New Zealand has done well, Australia has done well, arguably with a more open economy at the same time. But all the countries are responding to the health management quite differently, and some are late and some are early, and it's a real mix, in terms of response. Secondarily, we're going to have economic recession across the world, but in our local economies, and how we stimulate those economies will be important. Thirdly, I think you'll see the developing and emerging countries of the world, the Indias, the Indonesias that haven't yet been hit with COVID-19, that will come, and that could create second, third, fourth waves of outbreaks. We've got the oil-rich countries. Today, you may have seen something unusual, which is the oil prices hit negative dollars, which meaning that the suppliers of oil were paying the purchasers to take the oil from them. And that hurts the Middle East, it hurts Venezuela, it hurts Nigeria, big fuel-based economies. And then you've got, fifthly, you've got a lot of countries, I think, that are actually going to need bailouts and refinancing, places like Italy that were in bad shape going into this crisis and are going to be in worse shape coming out of it. And yet the world is quite laden with a lot of debt, and so their ability to do that. And I think the final point is, unfortunately, unlike the GFC, where there was good coordination between China, the US, the G7 on how to dig our global economy out of that mess, this time we're seeing very poor global cooperation, right? We're seeing squabbling happening between the big superpowers. We're not seeing coordination happening around vaccine funding. We need to have coordination around border controls as we ultimately will open up our countries in the coming years. So, that's why I say I think there'll be a series of mini waves of crises that we'll have to think about and respond to as a country. Having said all that, it's actually a marvelous opportunity for New Zealand to reimagine and to reinvent and rebuild the country in the way that we want to see it and make it better. And it's a big project, and it's going to take 2 to 5 years to do it. But there's quite a lot of opportunity for us as well in the world. I think New Zealand is the best country on earth, and I think we're very blessed and very lucky to live here. But actually, if we fast forward and imagine what kind of country we want to have in 30 years, we can start that rebuilding process, as tough as it will be, over the next few years. And so for me, if I was thinking about those sorts of things, the big sort of components of how you would get the macro economy of New Zealand moving in the right direction, we need to look at investing in quality infrastructure. That means having a national plan of all the infrastructure projects we need from top to bottom in this country. How do we fund them? How do we change our legislation so we can get things developed and not slowed down and bogged down in red tape and bureaucracy? How do we actually execute and do stuff? In New Zealand, sometimes we're really good at putting out cones. We're not necessarily good at actually getting things done, in terms of infrastructure finished and completed. There's a lot of new investment that we're going to need. New Zealand will need access to private pools of investment, whether it comes from overseas or whether it comes from within New Zealand. And so foreign direct investment is actually a really important thing for New Zealand. We have a good small unit here in New Zealand, but to give you a feel for it, Singapore, with a much bigger country, a similar sized country, has 650 people working on attracting foreign investment into their country. And so we need foreign investment to be invested in very productive businesses that will create jobs. So infrastructure investment, I think building big exports markets and trade will be really important. In this period, certainly primary industries, meat, horticulture, dairy, connecting with China, one of our big markets, is going to be probably the thing that's really helping New Zealand at the moment in a big way. We need more of that. And then productivity is the biggest problem we have economically in New Zealand, which means basically the value of the stuff that we produce and sell divided by the people making it is actually quite low relative to other countries around the world. And so we have to get higher value, richer, more premium products and services to our markets so that we can raise the salaries and wages of our people within New Zealand. We need to keep working on skills because the future of work and automation and digitization is coming, and it could dislocate some people in our economy and in our society. We've got to make sure they're prepared for the transition that's coming. And I personally think, making sure we enhance the natural capitals of New Zealand, which are things like marine and freshwater and land and soil and biodiversity and climate. Those things are important because over 60% of our economy is probably built on the natural capital of New Zealand, the natural flora and fauna that exists here. So that'd be the big broad brushstrokes, I would say, at a macro level that we need to think about: infrastructure, investment, exports, productivity, skills, and natural capital being looked after. And then I'd just say on the micro level, I do think it's a big chance for New Zealand to actually put small businesses really at the heart of this economic recovery. And we've done some things that have helped small businesses, like wage subsidies and some other loan schemes and tax benefits. But we probably need to do a lot more to help small businesses, and whether that would take the form of direct grants, commercial rent relief that's fair for the landlord as well as for the tenant, which we see in Australia, interest-free loans that we see in Canada. I think big companies and governments paying their invoices to small companies on time so that they help their cash flow is very important. Australia's actually put some legislation and requirements around that. I think there's some legislation or requirements or regulations that we could actually suspend that would actually make, through this lockdown period, that would make businesses function better. And then there's technology credits. We need to get these businesses, all small businesses in New Zealand, very technology driven, so that they can do that online trading that they need to participate in the big e-commerce platforms within China and around the world. And in doing so, make sure they're set up for the 21st century. So, that's what I'm fixated on. I think the health response is one thing, and I think it's great that we've done it well, but we can't live looking out the rear window. We sort of have to look out the front windscreen, and as a result, it's all about the economic recovery in the macro pieces as well as in the micro.
Great. So now I know why we could become friends. So I fully agree with you, and also let me explain to our audiences. 比起很多西方国家呢，新西兰呢被赞为抗击疫情的优等生，但是没有最好，只有更好。我刚才的问题说，有些人说咱们这个远离凡尘的小岛，如果当初不仅仅只对中国和伊朗关上大门，再比如，如果拿入境检查实物的严格标准去检测每一位入境者是否携带病毒，还比如对于早期的海外入境者，不是自我隔离，而是强制隔离，我们又何至于到举国封锁的地步，付出如此之大的经济代价？那可能我和 Chris 呢，刚才我们俩说的这个话呢，尤其是下面我要讲的话，听众您不但不会给我们送火箭，还会给我扔2个臭鸡蛋，但是这个真的是我的真心话。我只是想跟大家分享一下我的经历，然后之后再解释一下刚才这个 Chris 讲的这些。那我的经历呢，就是我现在管理的是陈平律师行，我们只有10几个律师，这些律师年纪比我大，资格比我老，英文个个讲的都比我好，因为他们都是本地的 Kiwi 律师。那管理这么个小团队都操碎了心，尤其呢这个在 lockdown 的期间，那我又担任了另外一个职务，就是我们家的煮饭婆。这个煮饭的前2周呢，我每天都在微信上晒我的这个拿手的好菜。 可是呢，我做个肉夹馍，红烧肉的时候肉没有烧到，你看把我的手和我的脸全部都烫伤了。烫伤之后呢，我突然发觉，不是我会烧2个菜，我就能够从陈律师变成陈厨师。管理一个小家、一个团队都这么难，更何况管理一个将近500万人的国家。所以同样是女人，在这里心疼阿丹姐1分钟。所以在面对疫情的时候，我们这些小人物究竟能做点什么？ Chris 讲过，停止抱怨，问问自己，我有什么？我要什么？我能做什么？从宏观到微观，从立法到政策到科技，我们可以学习新加坡，我们可以与纽西兰最大的贸易伙伴中国合作好。新西兰资源丰富的不得了，所以我们每一个人，每一个在这个家园把这里当家的人都要行动起来。咱们用不同的技能、不同的特长去拯救新西兰，拯救整个地球吧。因为我和 Chris 一共今天的时间呢1个小时，等一会儿呢我们还要把这个约翰基爵士请到我们的直播间，所以我不能呢一一的去翻译刚才 Chris 讲的这么好的建议。我相信呢这个天维网呢肯定有录制我们的节目，所以呢节目之后的话呢，我们可以再翻回来，再重新的去了解一下 Chris 这些非常非常 practical 的这些建议。So next question I'm going to ask to you is that Chinese were the first to be locked out from New Zealand. How do we make Chinese tourists, international students, and investors feel welcome again? And how do we let them bring themselves and their money back to New Zealand as quickly as possible?
Yeah, good question, Ping. I think I'm quite sympathetic to the case for investors and for students and for tourists. If I just take the investors, I think what we really need in New Zealand at the moment is really productive investment, as I talked about, in businesses, people who are going to come from overseas and invest in real businesses that will create real jobs, because unemployment is going to be a big challenge for us. So the focus should probably be on the productive investments rather than the speculative investments. Having said that, I'm sort of open to foreign investors buying very expensive properties, certainly not affordable housing, but you could imagine that would be possible. But I see that in Botany, actually, where my electorate, where there is a lot of great businesses that foreigners have started up and have built great businesses there that are exporting and importing and creating lots of good jobs for New Zealanders. So I'm very sympathetic to, and foreign investment, as I said earlier, is going to be a very important part of where we can access capital to build our economy back and to build and finance our businesses. So open to that. I think tourists is quite a different story. It's going to be quite a tough, long road for tourism to be rebuilt, and maybe we can talk about that a bit later. But really, it's about how much confidence we have on border control and screening. And to be honest, sitting here in New Zealand, I think one of the consequences of this thing is that we will start to think regionally rather than globally. And so for New Zealand, you've got to remember that we have probably 1.6 million visitors from Australia. And so, that really is the lifeline that would give the tourism industry quite a lot of opening if we could get our borders, aligned to be able to do that. But, tourism, we have to open it up. We have to turn it back on again. But we have to, it'll be about country by country confidence in each other's border controls to be able to do that. And I think the last thing is students. You're right. Students is very, very international students are very valuable to New Zealand because, and I would maybe argue even more valuable than tourists in some ways, because they're here for longer. Every student that's here brings in almost 2 international visitors and tourists every year as a result. And they often make a big contribution to shaping New Zealand as a consequence. And I think if we can manage the health risks, then we should certainly be open to finding a way to bring international students back into New Zealand, because that has a lot of value for our economy and for our society. So I'm very sympathetic about the case for trying to work out how we stage manage ourselves so that we can get a lot more investment in, we can ultimately open up tourism again, and certainly how could we get international students back here being reassured around those health impacts. What I would say is it's interesting, you know, the New Zealand-China relationship specifically going forward is going to be very important. It's been incredibly important post the GFC. If you think about it, back in 2008 when the GFC happened, New Zealand has had an 8-fold increase in its trade with China. You know, it's gone from $2 billion to $16 billion over that time. And so that relationship will be very important for New Zealand businesses to capitalize on and to really make work, because you know, there's some very transformational e-commerce platforms. There's a lot of innovation. There's some very discerning customers for New Zealand products and services sitting in China. And it's important we understand that and build that very well. I think the other thing is it's really heartening to see that, you know, I was talking to kiwi fruit operators just recently, and, you know, they are doing a great business in China at the moment. A lot of our meat suppliers are doing well. So is our dairy industry as a consequence. And so primary industries with the big market of China, which is, you know, our largest trading partner at the moment, those are things that are keeping New Zealand afloat when we've seen tourism, come down like it has.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. 现如今呢，卖机票的、开学校的，今天不容易，明天会更难。那 Chris 给你出的主意就是熬过了明晚，或许后天就是希望。这个时候呢，我们需要的是谋略，是勇气，是努力，是时间，似乎还需要那么一点点的运气。新西兰呢，被称为末日的诺亚方舟，完全可以打造最纯净、最美丽、最安全的国家品牌。新鲜的空气，纯粹的生活，对于留学生们来讲，安全是第一位的，学习也是很重要的。我们纽西兰人非常的淳朴，如果万事俱备，我就问问你，这样的地方，你想来还是不想来？新西兰绝对是你独一无二最好的选择。那我也很开心呢，Chris 呢也认识到了中新关系的重要性，也呢非常的 appreciate 我们有这个 China 作为我们最重要的贸易伙伴。So Chris, as a former CEO of Air New Zealand, you were heavily involved in tourism, which has been effectively destroyed by this pandemic. What is your view on how the tourism sectors can be rebuilt? Are there any opportunities to make it better than it was before and less vulnerable to disasters like this in the future?
Yeah, it's a good question, Ping. And just for your viewers to give some context around it, tourism to New Zealand is worth about 10% of our total GDP. It's about 12% of our workforce. It provides 17% of our goods and services tax, 21% of our foreign exchange earnings. And we were talking about a country of 5 million residents having almost 4 million visitors. So that's what that meant to New Zealand. It was our biggest industry. It overtaken dairy. And obviously now that has completely collapsed, as you've rightly said, and that has huge implications for New Zealand's revenue as much as for the income and for our workforce. Many people were employed in that sector directly or indirectly. So it is incredibly sad as a former CEO of Air New Zealand to just see and being very involved in shaping the tourism industry. It is really, really sad to see what's happening there. Having said that, I think it will be a slow recovery for the next 5 years. But I do think that tourism and those connections that people to people make with each other is really important. You know, you're not going to stop people from wanting to go and meet with others all around the world, ultimately. And over the next 30 years, New Zealand certainly has what the world wants here in tourism. So the big opportunity is, as good as our tourism growth actually was in the time when I was CEO, and involved in the tourism industry, you know, if you looked at the productivity of tourism, meaning the value of all the goods and services sold to tourists divided by the people working in it, we were about mid-table of the developing countries of the world. And so the big opportunity is, as it comes back on a slow rebuild, is to really make sure we build it out in a premium way, that the products and services that we're offering our tourists and our visitors are actually really rich and premium in nature. And we've got some really great experiences in this country that people are prepared to pay for and think that they've had good value around. And then we can build it back and it becomes a more productive, higher value sector that actually can therefore support higher salaries and wages. So that's the big opportunity. I went to Switzerland recently, a year or two ago, and I remember seeing some of their tourism product, and they probably they had a lot more value going on in their tourism sector than us, and that's the pathway we were on, but that's the pathway and the chance to reinvent it going forward.
Thank you。有人说，大家都在抱怨的时候，机会来了；大家欣喜若狂的时候，危险来了。因为上帝要让你灭亡，一定先让你疯狂。那我是开律师事务所的，我不懂得旅游业，但法理不应该说是道理是相通的。比如我在一起离婚的案子当中，代表了先生，我就不能代表太太。这个时候，我就可以把太太推荐给需要客户的同行。疫情当前，同行之间首先是生存，其次是互补，最后才是良性竞争。我们绝处逢生的机会就是精诚合作。越是喜欢给别人机会的人，自己的机会也会越来越多。Thank you for that. You were a very successful CEO. For me, you are even more successful as a fortune teller because you left Air New Zealand exactly the right time. Why did you want to leave business and go into politics?
Well, firstly, I'll just say people ask me that question all the time and say I must have timed my departure from Air New Zealand very well. I mean, I feel very attached to Air New Zealand. There's 13,000 very special people that make that airline and that company very, very special. And so it's really sad watching what's going on, and so I care deeply about that company, and it's important that it's successful for New Zealand's future as well, because otherwise we're pretty isolated in the world. But for me, the decision to leave, the world of business and come into the world of politics was really just realizing that New Zealand is a really special place, and it's an important country in the world. We may not be the biggest country in the world, but we do think things through differently, economically, socially, and environmentally, and that's a great role model and a great example and a great pilot that we can export to the rest of the world. The way we've handled a number of things over the last 100 years have been quite special, and it's a really important thing to have a very successful small country. I think it's a country that has to punch above its weight, though, and it has done that over the last 20 years. A lot of that was Sir John Key's leadership. I mean, that's been a really important thing to make sure that the country does well in the world. But we are now facing some very big challenges and also some tremendous opportunities. And so I wanted to come from my business career and actually start to think about some of those big challenges that we've got to rise to. And the COVID situation certainly makes that a big challenge going forward. But certainly there's a lot for us to realize in the world. This is a special place. Over the next 30 years, New Zealand has what the world fundamentally wants once we get through this crisis. And so I think a lot of the business experience that you have, while it's not necessarily, it's a different system you have to learn between business and politics, and I've got a lot to learn in that world of politics, the leadership principles that you use in a business sense or in a political sense or in a community organizational sense are very much the same. So for me, I think we need to start getting things done in this country. I think we need to, actually make decisions and execute them well and build a better country so that we can make people's lives much better. And I got to the place where I thought, well, I don't want to be 80 years old looking back saying, I wish I'd tried it and maybe I had something to offer and then I never did. And so I'd sooner live with the with giving it a go than not giving it a go. It's kind of how I arrived there.
Great. So 我刚才呢和他开了个玩笑哈，我说与其说你是个成功的企业家 CEO， 倒不如说更成功的是做个能掐会算的大仙儿。你看他离开纽航的时间，那叫个刚刚好。弃商从政之后，纽航股票大跌、大裁员、大萧条。时势造英雄，像 Chris 这种有经验、有阅历、有抱负的大人物，因为他个子还够高，天塌下来的时候，他能够帮咱们顶得住。因为他不仅仅有全心全意的态度，更有顶天立地的能力。那我们刚才讲了很多负面的东西，什么大裁员、大萧条、股票这个大降，咱们要不要讲个段子轻松一下？导播可以吗
？OK。
这个 refresh 之后，我们再把今天最重要、最这个重量级的大咖请进来。已经是3点45分了，好吗？那说说我自己吧，我呢是金庸迷，最喜欢的呢就是金庸笔下的人物，叫韦小宝。我为什么喜欢他呢？因为他心态超好，从不为出身卑微而自贱，更不为平步青云而傲娇，还懂得知恩图报。最经典的就是他最后说过一句话。糖糖，你知道是什么吗？
我刚刚忍不住笑了，我还想说你羡慕他什么？不会有7个老婆吧？
7个老兵，我不是男人嘛？
开玩笑，您说。
对对，我最欣赏就是他最后说过这句话，他说呢，老子不干了。据六神磊磊讲哈，男人在讲这句话的时候是很爽的。我不是男人，体会不到，但我却认识这么个人，曾位居新西兰总理，而且做了8年备受国民爱戴的总理。就在政坛最高峰的时候，急流勇退，辞职了。辞职之后呢，去年的10月份，他以新西兰前总理的身份访问了中国，受到了习主席的亲切接见，多会交朋友。所以呢，现在呢，我不知道我们这个前总理约翰基爵士是不是已经到了我们的云中的会议室？已经到了。It is my pleasure now to welcome Sir John Key. How are you? And are you keeping busy in lockdown?
Well, thanks, Ping, and ni hao.
Ni hao.
I am keeping very well. I'm keeping very busy. Yeah, there's a lot of business things going on, and working pretty hard. And
you're always busy.
And we've moved into the new house, as you probably know. So there's lots of boxes to unpack, and in between that and a bit of exercise, it's all been quite good.
Actually, I have my last question for Chris, and I would like you to hear the answer as well. Chris, you and Sir John Key are very good friends. How did you become so, and what do you like about him?
Well, thank you, Ping, and hi, John.
Time to answer this question. There'll be a lot for you to cover.
Yeah, this could take some time. Honestly, it could.
Right back to primary school and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I'd have to say that I've said it before, but I actually like his wife more than him, to be honest.
Wow.
I think she's much smarter.
Be careful, huh?
Funnier, yeah. But no, I mean, just thinking about it, I mean, John and I sort of got to know each other actually before I became CEO of Air New Zealand. He was very generous to me because he reached out and, started to, have a chat to me. And I guess we sort of ended up having a lot of conversations, obviously, around tourism, because John was Minister of Tourism and I was the CEO of Air New Zealand. But we ended up texting and talking very late into the night, often with our different jobs, and we got to know each other. And I think, we've got lots of similarities. We both come from
Sorry, I lost you.
He's frozen.
our partners very early and married. Oh, is it? Oh, hang on.
No, you're back now.
No, I'm back.
Yeah,
Very big, but
yeah, so there's a lot of similarities in our stories, being overseas and being business people and coming from Christchurch and things like that. But I think the most important thing I like about him is that, he's like me. We take our jobs very seriously, but we don't take ourselves that seriously. And it's really important when you're doing big jobs and extreme jobs, and John's done the biggest one in New Zealand, that you actually have fun along the way too. And so, that's what I enjoy about him.
Great.
I'd also just put it out there. He was a pretty good Prime Minister. If you think about getting us through the GFC, getting us through the Christchurch earthquake, but I think giving New Zealanders quite a lot of confidence they can go out in the world and they can be ambitious and they can do things and they can be world class was very much a big part of his legacy as well. So, yeah, pretty good guy all around, actually.
Wonderful. 所以他们2位是好友，也是这个损友。你看这个 Chris 上来就说，其实我喜欢 John 的太太比喜欢 John 还会多。那这种说法呢，尤其可能是上万的人在听我们的这个节目哈。So now, so thank you, Chris. You can have a break now. Have a cup of tea.
Thank you.
So John, Sir John Key. My first question for
John
you.
will be just fine, Ping, but that's good.
Yeah. Thank you, John. So my first question for you is, after the coronavirus arrived in New Zealand, we saw Chinese, and even those who just looked Chinese, targeted for racial abuse. My concern is that eventually the virus itself will be under control. But how do we manage the long-term social damage as a consequence of economic downturn, such as liquidations, unemployment, depression, racism, even crime? If you were still Prime Minister, what steps would you take to reassure people like me that we can return to a safe and a stable life as quickly as possible?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is that, you need to give people confidence that the core values that we took into the coronavirus, which was hopefully an open, an open system, one where there was tolerance, one where there was an understanding of others, one where we embraced a multicultural society, that all of those values and principles are the same principles and values we take out the other end of the virus. And that, look, inevitably you will always get people who will react in a stupid manner because they say, well, the virus started in China, and so they want to apportion blame or some other sort of response. But if that was the response of those people, then they might have to broaden their list, because it's in about 198 countries in the world. So I wouldn't take too much out of that. I think the broader issue, I think, is the right one, which is to say, this isn't just a health crisis or an economic crisis. It comes with a whole lot of other social issues and mental health issues that will need to be dealt with as people cope with tremendous stress in their family lives and in their businesses and all the dislocation that's happening because of coronavirus. So there's a lot of different things to consider.
Sure. Thank you for the information. So now I want to talk about a sensitive topic. One Sunday after lockdown, our phones were left hotline as we provided free legal services to medical staff whose managers didn't allow them to wear face masks when they meet patients. I remember once you had a photo with a face mask when you visited a beekeeper to prevent bee stings.
Yeah.
For us, face masks are necessary equipment to reduce the spread of infection. Why do you think some Kiwis are so reluctant to wear a mask?
I think, to be fair, there's been a lot of conflicting advice. So the early advice was that don't wear a mask because you're more likely to play with the mask, and if you play with the mask on your face and you touch your eyes or your mouth or something, you're more likely to transmit actually the virus to yourself. And so that was the argument, I think, initially. And you saw the Director General of Health, Ashley Bloomfield, saying exactly that: don't wear a mask, you don't need to wear a mask. And I think even that was the position that you saw in the United States from Donald Trump. But that position turned. I think the US medical fraternity decided they actually should wear a mask. And as we know, masks are not, they might be new to New Zealanders in coronavirus, but they're actually not new. If you go to Asia, lots and lots of people wear masks, particularly probably maybe more in Japan than China, but they certainly do wear them. And they wear them, I think, because if they have a feeling that they might have a cold or something, they don't want to spread that to other people. So they're just taking care and concern for others. Certainly now the international view is you should wear a mask. So I think it just varies. I think you're going to get a range of different views. I mean, the lucky thing in New Zealand so far is that the spread of the virus has been pretty minimal. And so whether you're wearing one or not, hopefully we can keep those numbers down, and therefore the chance of contracting it in the community is pretty low.
Great. So we have to admit that cultural differences can be so hard to overcome. This is why you need lawyers like us, bilingual and bicultural as well.
Exactly.
跨文化的沟通呢，实在是太重要了。这就是为什么需要像我们这样的律师，不仅要懂英文，更要懂跨文化的沟通。So my next question is, banning foreign buyers from the residential market was supposed to make houses more affordable for Kiwis, especially first home buyers. But the first home market is completely different from the high-end multi-million-dollar market, which attracts, for example, Hollywood movie stars. So we have already received a lot of red envelope subsidies from the government, which we are very happy. But to rebuild New Zealand, we do need a lot of money. Do you think this is the time to reopen the residential market, or at least part of it, to offshore buyers to help attract significant funds to New Zealand?
Yeah, so firstly, I just never agreed with the foreign buyers ban. I think it's much more about the politics of envy than it was about good economics. Stopping someone coming to New Zealand and paying $5, $10, $15, $20 million for a house is not doing anything to first home buyers unless you're a very wealthy first home buyer. So the reality is, it's not doing anything to that market. Secondly, I think that people misinterpreted how much was being bought offshore. I mean, we looked at all the stats. We looked at where the post code was going for rates demands and the likes, and they backed up the view that less than 3% of property was being sold to foreigners. And in fact, a lot of property that gets sold to a foreigner ultimately gets resold to a New Zealander. You know, they don't always hold those properties forever. And then I think the next issue is that when someone comes to our country and buys a house, there's and you know, whether it's a cheaper property, say, or a more expensive one, but let's just argue a more expensive one for a moment, they create an enormous amount of work, and that work, you know, allows people in the economy to spend that money through wages and to do other things that they might want to do. So in my view, you know, a foreign buyers ban has done nothing in terms of, if you care about price increases for first home buyers. The only thing that really works is to have lighter bureaucracy so you can release land faster and build properties quicker. And whenever the government intervenes, it doesn't work. They did that with Kiwi Build, and they built a fraction of the houses that a decent group home buyers built. So that strategy didn't work, and banning foreigners didn't work either. And I think, to your point, New Zealand was very successful post the GFC when I was Prime Minister, in a large part because China was such an important counterpart for us, both in terms of tourists, in terms of people coming to New Zealand and investing money, in terms of people living here, and Chinese consumers buying our goods. And the smartest thing New Zealand can do to get through COVID-19 is to have an open policy where we engage with the world and we tap into those middle-income consumers, because one thing you can see is that China's middle-income consumers are already emerging as quite strong buyers. And you know, if we're going to rely solely on Europe and the United States to get us through this from a trading point of view, I think we'll miss an opportunity to tap into Asia and particularly into China. So this government, personally, to me, looks a bit I don't want to say negative on China, but they certainly don't have the warmth of the relationship that either I had when I was Prime Minister or the ministers I had around me have.
You are such wise man, so thank you very much for the super helpful information. Thank you. Today, I'm honored to have both Sir John Key Mark I and Chris as John Key Mark II on the show. Chris used to tell me, actually, Mark I is cuter, but Mark II is more handsome. Do you agree?
No, I just have to look at the screen and you can tell that
Yeah.
clearly I went on both.
Yeah,
actually,
so
I'm more likely to be Christopher Luxon too than I am he'll be John Key too. Trust me, he's going to be doing.
Of course,
I think, Ping, many of your viewers actually think they're watching Mong Fen and You're the One. I think I look like the game show host from You're the One, you know, a dating show.
yeah, of course, you know, you're both very handsome. Of course, I'm joking, but a lot of people do compare Chris to you. Can you tell us about your similarities and differences, and what is it about Chris that most impresses you?
Yeah, so I think, you know, the similarities Chris pointed out earlier is that, you know, we both have commercial backgrounds, both obviously very interested in politics. I think we're both pretty decent communicators if we need to be. And so we've had a pretty similar, you know, international and domestic background in that regard. I think we both share very similar economic views. I mean, we're economically conservative, but we're internationalists. You know, we want to see New Zealand engage with the world and trade with the world and have a harmonious, you know, multicultural society operating in New Zealand. And I think, you know, if you look at the current Prime Minister, you know, there's no doubt that Jacinda is an effective communicator. I don't think you'd question that. But I think what you also know is that she's not terribly interested in the economy. Her interests are in other areas, and I understand that. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. But to me, the number one thing that the government of the day does is provide a platform for hardworking New Zealanders, whatever ethnicity they come from, to get ahead and to progress in their lives and to do well. And most people want to do that not because the government assists them to do it, but because they set a platform and a level, fair playing field, and then let their own skills and hard work take over. And I think, you know, if Chris was the Prime Minister, I think what you see is a very strong emphasis on the economy. And I think, you know, whoever the Prime Minister of the day is, ultimately we'll get through COVID-19, but the challenges that it represents on the economic side are going to be very significant and with us for quite a long period of time. And I think, to me, that's where the main similarities are, that both of us know that unless you have a strong economy, then in the end, people don't have the confidence and choices they want to look after themselves and their families.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Sir Donkey, for your time. I hope you enjoy your lockdown time with your family. Please take care. And I know you're very busy. You serve, for different international organizations. Also, we have at different times. So thank you very much. And we love you. We also love your wife. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I had to Google last night how to make hot and sour soup, because unfortunately every Chinese restaurant and takeaway that I go to is closed. So anyway, I'm going to make it in the weekend. I'll let you know how I go. It could be a disaster, but I'll just give it a whirl. It looked easy enough. I must admit, I watched the YouTube video of how to make it, and it looked like it was within my skill set. But we never know.
I'm going to have a program with Sky TV teaching people making soup, so you can learn from us. So just as told you, I'm almost become like, master chef, but unfortunately I got burned. Anyway, thank you for your time. Yeah, thank you.
See you later.
Thank you. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So 我们还记得2008年金融危机的时候，时任总理的约翰基向全世界喊话：我们没有金融危机，只有信心危机。一切都在于人们是否愿意投资，愿意对未来充满信心。他说：我们已经有了计划，知道该做什么。新西兰有强大的能力走出当前的经济困境。真心的希望现任政府也有同样的信心和底气。今天是多大的荣幸哈！我们把前总理约翰基原版和 2.0 复制版同时请到直播间，为咱们出谋划策。与优秀的人为伍，和喜欢的人相处，在懂我们的天维网里却步。感谢网友们的陪伴和送的火箭，感谢天维一直播台前幕后的所有工作人员。我是陈平律师，让我们在这最困难的时候抱团取暖，共度时间。有缘再会。Hi Chris, thank you very much for your practical advice. I'm sure you have gained a lot of followers. Would you like to say some final words to them?
Oh, look, firstly, Ping, thanks for the chance to come and talk with your viewers. It's been a really fun sort of hour, really. I've really enjoyed the conversations and the dialogue. Can I just say to everyone watching and listening, we are going to get through this health crisis. We will rebuild our economy so that we can invest more in our social services, and we'll do great things together. And this country's got a great future ahead of it. It really has. And so I know it's incredibly challenging, and it's a lot of hard pain and work for people at the moment. But keep focused on and keep the hope that there is a better future ahead of us, and it will come. So, but again, thanks for the time. It's been great fun. I've really enjoyed it. So very nice.
Thank you. Every morning is a new day and a new start. Stop complaining, make a move, take action. Thank you.
See ya.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, Chris. 谢谢陈律师。
谢谢。
非常感谢陈律师今天来到这里呢，帮我们做这个特邀的主持。我刚刚呢也非常感谢3位大咖给我们带来的1个小时的干货满满的、非常精彩绝伦的一个直播。那我刚刚其实在听大家的直播内容的时候呢，我也在一直呢盯着这个直播，还有 Facebook 和 YouTube 这3个平台的网友留言。到时候回放的时候，就是我可以请陈律师您一定要看我们的回放，上面的这个爱心啊、火箭啊、游艇送个不停，然后变成了一个大型的表白现场，就是特别是那个直播的这个直播的 App 上面，就是 Love you Chris, Love you John 就一直在表白。然后呢，也很多人非常的就是惊讶，我们今天请到陈律师来做我们的主持，然后有很多人对您提的问题给出了高度的赞许，说您提的问题都非常有点，没有想到您跟他们是好朋友，是老朋友。但是提的这些问题有内容之余呢，还蛮尖锐的。所以今天是我主持这么多期我们天维大咖秀以来呢，网友互动最热烈的一期。那刚刚呢，同时在线观看的人我看了一下，就是最高的时候有11.1万人， 对，是这样子的，所以我今天非常感谢陈律师，就是帮我们来做这个特邀的主持，也非常感谢刚刚2位大咖跟我们分析了一下疫情之下呢，新西兰的整个经济的预测，还有呢就是为我们这些网友提供了如何应对未来经济衰退的一些建议和非常一些我觉得有干货、有内容的一些措施。所以呢，我也非常感谢各位网友，刚刚我提到了对我们那么的支持今天的节目，给我们送火箭的啊，送爱心的呀。然后今天我们的互动真的达到了整个往期节目最高的一个热度。那今天的直播节目呢就到这里，非常感谢呢在直播、YouTube 还有 Facebook 这3个平台呢一直收看我们节目的网友，也欢迎各位网友呢在这3个平台呢关注我们新西兰天维网 skykiwi.com 的账号。那 follow 我们呢，以后我们有一些最精彩的节目呢，你们能第一时间收到通知。再一次感谢陈律师今天的帮忙。那各位网友，我们下一期节目再见，拜拜。
再会。
谢谢您，陈律师，非常感谢。
谢谢。